Cristiano, let me start just by asking you, why are you doing this interview with me?
Because I think it's the time to say something, and because I like you. As simple as that.
Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't just giving an interview, he was sounding an alarm. In late 2022, he sat down in front of the cameras and told the world that Manchester United, the club he loved, the club that made him a superstar, was broken from the inside out.
To be honest, when I signed for Manchester United, I thought everything was changed, but I was surprised. In a bad way, let's say in that way, because I saw everything was the same. They stopped on a clock.
The media mocked him. Former teammates said he was selfish. Fans accused him of betrayal.
His selfishness got him to where he wanted to be. It was all about me, his demise at this club. He could have showed the attitude of, yep, I'll speak out about the owners, but I'll be a real part of the squad. I'll help the youngsters. I'll show him what it's like to be a professional, but he's not. He's kind of like screwed them all over.
United cut ties and forced him out. He was painted as the villain, the diva who couldn't handle being benched.
Okay, Ronaldo's motivated with the World Cup coming up, and you hope. But if he's sitting on the bench for Man United week in, week out, it's not good.
But today, the evidence is everywhere. From leaking roofs at Old Trafford to billions drained by the Glazers. From revolving door managers to transfer disasters. Ronaldo's words, dismissed as ego at the time, now sound more like prophecy. This isn't just about one man's exit, it's about a decade-long decay, and the moment when the only person brave enough to tell the truth was cast out. This is the story of how Cristiano Ronaldo was right about Manchester United and how nobody listened.
Ronaldo is back 12 years after he left Old Trafford, expected to make his second debut for United.
August 27th, 2021. The football world stood still. Cristiano Ronaldo, the legend, the icon, the man who once defined Manchester United, was coming home. It felt like a fairy tale written for Hollywood. The announcement broke the internet. Shirt sales shattered records in 24 hours, overtaking Messi's Paris unveiling. Fans filled the streets with banners and tears. Old Trafford was alive again. 2 weeks later, the stage was set. A packed Old Trafford, red shirts in every corner, thousands singing his name. Ronaldo stepped onto the pitch for his second debut against Newcastle United. He didn't just play, he scored twice. The roar shook the ground like it was 2008 again. For those 90 minutes, Manchester United felt untouchable. And it wasn't just nostalgia. Ronaldo delivered all season. He became the club's top scorer with 24 goals in all competitions, including stunning hat tricks that rolled back the years. Against Tottenham, against Norwich. Moments of brilliance that reminded the world who he was. On the surface, everything looked perfect. The prodigal son was back. He was scoring, inspiring, lifting a broken team on his shoulders. Fans believed the glory days were finally on their way back. But football isn't just about what happens on the pitch. Behind the scenes, a darker truth was lurking. Cracks in the fairy tale were already beginning to show. For a while, the dream looked real. Ronaldo was scoring, fans were singing, and Old Trafford was buzzing again. But underneath the surface, the cracks were already spreading. Manchester United were falling apart. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the club legend turned manager, was sacked by November after a humiliating 4-1 loss to Watford. Michael Carrick stepped in briefly as caretaker, and then Ralf Rangnick arrived, the so-called professor of pressing. But instead of structure, the dressing room descended into whispers and division.
It's not the manager's quality, it's about changing all the other things. In medicine, you would see this is an operation at the open heart. So there are more things to be changed than some little things here and some minor things there.
Ronaldo did his part. He scored a last-minute winner against Villarreal in the Champions League. He bagged clutch goals in group stages that kept United alive. But while he dragged them forward, the team around him kept falling back. By the end of the season, his tally stood at 24 goals. But United's tally? 6th place in the Premier League, no trophies, and Europa League football. The so-called return to glory had turned into another entry in the club's long list of failures. The media didn't see a savior. They saw a scapegoat. Ronaldo was blamed for upsetting the balance, for slowing the press, for being too big for a fragile dressing room. Fans who once cheered his name started to question his presence.
Sit on the bench and make sure that you're in that dressing room at the end. You shake the players' hands and then you have it out with the manager separately.
It was a strange paradox. Ronaldo had given United exactly what they lacked: goals, moments, belief. Yet the narrative was twisted. His brilliance only highlighted how broken everything else was. The fairy tale wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. And for Cristiano Ronaldo, the storm that was coming would change everything. November 2022, Cristiano Ronaldo sits across from Piers Morgan. The world is about to hear words that spark a firestorm. He doesn't hold back.
Piers, to be honest, when I signed for Manchester United, I thought everything was changed because it's 13 years that I'm changed. And when I arrived, I thought everything will be different, you know, the technology, the infrastructures and everything. But I was surprised in a bad way, let's say in that way, because I saw everything was the same.
But Ronaldo's critique goes deeper than facilities. In the interview, he accuses the club of putting commercial interests ahead of sporting ambition.
The Glazers.
The Glazers, they don't care about the club. I mean, professional sport. As you know, Manchester is a marketing club. They will get his money from the marketing. The sports, they don't really care, in my opinion.
The fallout is instant and brutal. Headlines scream. Pundits call him arrogant, divisive, out of step. Some former teammates and prominent voices distance themselves. The reaction is visceral. Shock, anger, disbelief. Within weeks, the relationship between player and club has collapsed in public view. Manchester United and Ronaldo agreed to terminate his contract later that month, ending his second spell at Old Trafford in controversy rather than celebration. But here's the question the headlines didn't want to ask. Was Ronaldo merely lashing out, or was he diagnosing a problem no one else would name? Because when you strip away the headlines and look at his words, they weren't just complaints. They were warnings. Warnings that the club was broken. Warnings that, if ignored, would haunt Manchester United for years to come. At first, Ronaldo's interview sounded like sour grapes, a bitter legend lashing out. But then, the evidence began to speak louder than his critics. He said the club was stuck in the past, and then the world saw it with its own eyes. Rain pouring through a leaking Old Trafford roof, soaking the stands and the dressing rooms. The theater of dreams, reduced to a global punchline. He said the facilities hadn't evolved since 2009. Reports soon confirmed it. Outdated gyms, unimproved training grounds, and a stadium falling into disrepair. For a club once called the biggest in the world, it looked more like neglect. He said the Glazers didn't care. The numbers backed him up. Since their leveraged takeover in 2005, the family had drained over £1 billion in interest payments, bank charges, and dividends. Money that could have built new facilities, bought world-class talent, or rebuilt Old Trafford, gone into shareholders' pockets instead. He said the club was run like a marketing machine, and again, he was right. Sponsorship deals with noodle companies, tractor brands, and random global partners piled up, while the football side crumbled. Transfers turned into chaos. Big money signings without strategy, managers given mismatched squads, and no director of football to oversee it all. And managers? A revolving door. David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Each handed a different mandate, each cut down before a vision could take root. Just as Ronaldo said, zero evolution. The truth was undeniable. Ronaldo wasn't lying. He wasn't exaggerating. He was exposing a broken system, one that fans had long suspected, but the club tried to hide. And the tragedy? Instead of fixing the disease, Manchester United silenced the doctor who diagnosed it. Cristiano Ronaldo left Manchester United in November 2022. No farewell match, no standing ovation, just a terminated contract and a bitter end to a love story. He moved to Al Nassr and kept rewriting the record book. He finished 2023 as the world's top scorer, 54 goals, then set a Saudi Pro League single-season record of 35 in 2023/24 and won the Golden Boot again in 2024/25. The man many called finished was still delivering. Back in Manchester, Ruben Amorim arrived as head coach, appointed November 1st, 2024, started November 11th. But on the pitch, the pattern felt the same. Big talk, thin results. Last season, United finished 15th, and now this season, again the same disappointment continues. United were thrashed 3-0 by City in the derby, dumped out of the Carabao Cup by League 2 Grimsby on pens, and beaten 3-1 at Brentford. The table told an ugly story. Mid-table form, pressure growing. United did begin to modernize. A £50 million Carrington upgrade opened in August 2025. State-of-the-art recovery rooms, sleep pods, high-altitude training, and a new stadium plan has been floated. But while the buildings changed, the results didn't. Yet. And slowly, the narrative flipped. The man painted as the villain didn't look so wrong anymore. With every defeat, every protest, every chaotic window, Ronaldo's warnings sounded less like ego and more like truth. 2 years have passed since Cristiano Ronaldo walked out of Old Trafford for the last time. He was branded a traitor, a prima donna, a man who couldn't accept decline. But today, his words echo louder than ever. Manchester United is not the same club he left behind, at least not on the surface. In 2024, Ineos, led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, took charge of football operations with a minority stake while the Glazers kept the majority. The promise was clear: reform the sporting side, bring back a winning culture, and modernize the club. And to their credit, some things did change. In 2025, United unveiled a bold £50 million upgrade to the Carrington training facility. What Ronaldo once called outdated has now been transformed into a state-of-the-art hub with cryotherapy chambers, high-altitude rooms, sleep pods, padel courts, and open workspaces filled with natural light. They also announced plans for a new stadium, a futuristic £2 billion project next to Old Trafford, meant to replace the crumbling Theatre of Dreams. On paper, it looks like progress. But here's the question: has the heart of the club really changed? On the pitch, Ruben Amorim is the latest to hold the hot seat. His sporting-inspired philosophy has yet to find stability, and United's inconsistency continues to frustrate fans. Heavy defeats still sting, tactical experiments still wobble, and the team remains far from the title challengers Ronaldo once demanded they should be. Looking back, it's clear: Ronaldo wasn't the problem. He was the warning, the only one bold enough to say that Manchester United was rotting from the inside. His prophecy forced the club to confront truths they had ignored for too long, and only now, with new facilities, new leadership, and new plans, are they trying to fix what he shouted about years earlier. Yes, he was emotional, yes, he was controversial, but he was right, and that's the tragedy of this story. Not that Cristiano Ronaldo betrayed Manchester United, but that Manchester United betrayed themselves by ignoring the truth he exposed before anyone else dared to. The fairy tale return ended in chaos, but the prophecy he left behind, it's still unfolding today. Cristiano Ronaldo was right about Manchester United, and nobody listened.